One of the things that college students get told all the time is of these three things, you can only have two, and you have to give up one. Are you going to get good grades? Are you going to get sleep? And are you going to have a social life? With apps like I'm going to show you today, you can have all three. You just need to know where to start. Hey, this is Aaron, or if you've ever had me in class, Mr. Makelky. I'm an actual school teacher who teaches my students how to use AI to get better grades and not have to stress about it. In this video, I'm going to share with you the only three apps you need to easily get through college, starting with app number one, Perplexity. So what the heck is Perplexity? How do you get it? In your web browser, you can just search for Perplexity AI, and you'll see this little icon. You can use your Google account to sign in and use the free version. I don't pay for this because the free version is really good, and you get some pro searches each day for free. If you want to do it on your phone, here it is in the App Store, same icon. It's free. If you're going to be doing a lot of searching and copy and pasting, it's probably better on your desktop than it is on your phone. But if you log in, it will save your searches between the two, and you can go back and take something from your phone and access it in the web browser and vice versa. Once you have some searches, they'll show up over here on the left in your library. I did a whole example here for you, and I'll spare you having to watch it generate, but the interface looks a lot like Chat GPT. You have a text box to prompt it with. One cool feature, if you have the free version like I do, you get so many paid searches a day, and this will probably change over time, but at the time of recording, you get 5 paid pro searches a day, and then it resets. It just gives you access to different sources, and it claims it does better with more complex questions. I haven't tested that a ton because the free version works really well for me. Here is a sample use case for Perplexity. I have this history professor in a Western Civ class who wants me to write this paper on Napoleon's legacy. Napoleon Bonaparte, leader from France. Cool. I could use some other AI tools that I'll show you later in this video, but here's why Perplexity is the best. It does the research, the formatting, and the sourcing for you better than anything that I've seen. And I've side-by-side tested this with the exact same prompts with 3 different AI generation tools, and Perplexity always wins. What I'm going to do is paste in my instructions and tell it I need 5 academic scholarly sources that I can use for my paper. Here's one thing that's unique. It's going to give me sources first before it gives me an answer. Perplexity always does this. One thing you'll notice, it does include Wikipedia. I did a free search with that. If you do Pro, it's not going to do that. You can also get these little footnote style citations for those, and it's going to do our works cited page for us. So don't be using one-off tools to do your works cited page. It gives me these sources. It gives me a quick summary with 4 bullet points for each. And then I said, okay, I want something more detailed. I want some sources on his military tactics that made him successful. I don't think my professor's going to accept Reddit, but again, this was on the free version. Britannica looks good. We can click on the source to see. I want to vet this before I cite it or use it. Here's Britannica, Napoleonic Wars. This looks pretty legit. It will give videos and maps. Here's the definition or the explanation of those. Again, it's citing sources. Where did it get this from? You can check all those in the footnotes by just clicking on them. It'll take you to that source. And then it gives me a summary at the end. Then I went into, okay, let's outline this. And what's cool is since this is the tool that you should be using to research, it can also help me write my paper. I wouldn't use it to generate the text itself, but I would use it to find the sources and help me set up an outline and give me feedback on that. I went through and said it's 3 to 5 pages. I need a clear thesis statement. Here's some sources. It gave me an outline. You go intro with a hook and a thesis, body paragraphs with these topics, and a conclusion. Wow, that is super helpful. Again, if it cites a source, it puts a footnote. That's from biography.com, which is a good source. Then it gets even better. I want some thesis statements to answer the prompt. Give me 3 totally different ones to pick from. That doesn't mean I'm going to copy and paste these and put them in my paper. It's just giving me ideas. If you were doing this with body paragraphs, you could say, give me topic sentences to go in my first body paragraph, and cite the source within it. You can even tell it MLA, APA, Chicago, whatever style citations that you're using, cite it and give me some examples of what I could do for that topic sentence. Perplexity is awesome. It's free. You can test out the pro version 5 times a day without paying. I love that feature. So you can say, if I do a ton of research, maybe that's worth it for me. The last thing that I want you to know about Perplexity is you can search for videos. It does index YouTube. YouTube has its own algorithm and there's ads on there. You can watch these videos in the sidebar and it will even cite those. So I said, put these in a Chicago style citation in case I used them. It gave me my 5 sources right here. And I could click and watch it in the sidebar. Another cool thing it can do, it can summarize YouTube videos. All I took was the link from one of these. And I said, summarize this in 1 paragraph. Boom. I think it's taking the transcript of the video and summarizing that, because if it has captions on it, it can read those. It's not actually watching the video. But I want to watch the video, and this does a really good job summarizing it. I said I want 5 scholarly, academic, reliable videos on Napoleon. Here you go. Most of those are on YouTube, but there are some that aren't. It's from a FSU professor. artsandsciences.fsu, Florida State University. Sounds legit. Perplexity is the best research tool there is. Perplexity is a great tool for one really specific use. That is research and citations and works cited pages. So I think of it like a scalpel. It's really good at one thing. But our next 2 tools are more utility knives, like a Swiss Army knife, that have multiple uses. They're just not as good for research and citations as Perplexity is. Our second app to help you get through college is Microsoft Copilot. You can use it in the app on your phone or in your browser tab, and it has a free version that's really good. It's basically the same AI engine as other popular ones that you pay for, with one big exception that we'll get to at the end. But if you only want one free app to do everything AI related in, I would use Microsoft Copilot, and so should you. Here are some things that you can do with it and unique features. You can use it for brainstorming. You can use it for study sessions, like quiz me on this subject, or here's 50 questions off my study guide, copy and paste those in and have it do spaced out practice with you. You can use it to review concepts, and you can use it to generate images. One of the best reasons to use Microsoft Copilot is because it's through Microsoft. Almost no school filters block it. So if you're in a computer lab or you connect your own laptop to the Wi-Fi at your school, even if they have a restricted filter for the guest Wi-Fi, Microsoft Copilot is almost never blocked. Like my school doesn't do it, and a few of the other schools I've been to, they don't block it either, unlike Chat GPT, which is almost always blocked on the school Wi-Fi. Another cool feature of Microsoft Copilot that's unique is it has a sliding scale of creativity. In its responses, it lets you set it to 3 default modes. The one furthest to the left is creative, the middle is balanced, and then the right side is you can slide it all the way over to precise. It just tells you how wild and out of the box it's going to be with its responses. And since that's a built-in button, it's easier than having to add another sentence or 2 to the prompt to get the style of output that you want. It also has some pre-made models like custom GPTs. And at the time of recording, it has one for a designer. So like art, style, images, things like that. It has one for a vacation planner. It has a cooking assistant. So you could tell it you're going on a diet. You could tell it you are diabetic or have some kind of health concern or don't like fish. Do a meal plan for me. You can even tell it, here's what I have in my fridge. Give me an idea for dinner. And the meal planner can do that for you. And it also has a fitness trainer. So if you're trying to get in shape or do a lifting routine for beginners or something, there's a pre-made setting for these. It's like an agent, and you don't have to input it and say you're a fitness designer who specializes in resistance training. It's already set that way. Another cool feature of Microsoft Copilot is it asks follow-up questions. So you put your prompt in, you get your output just like any other AI model. But it gives you these little chat bubbles at the bottom. Here's an example. And it asks follow-up questions like, we think you're going to ask this next, and you can just click it. tell me more about this topic or give me another example. It saves you from having to prompt the follow-up. If you're new to using AI, that's an awesome thing because it helps you start to see what can I do with this. And most people that are new put in a prompt, get an output, and think that's all you can do. Copilot suggesting these follow-up questions is really helpful, especially for beginners. In terms of image generation, if you use the pre-made designer tool in Copilot, it is just as good as the paid version of ChatGPT, if not better. And you're going to have to go to a paid model like Midjourney or Photoshop to find a better image creation tool. So Microsoft Copilot for anything artistic or design-wise is going to be your best bet for a free app. Here's an example I did. Since I'm a history teacher, I did Mansa Musa. Most people agree he would be the richest man in the history of the world if you adjusted for inflation. And it not only gives you the output images in the style you wanted, it gives you some pre-made styles you can change it to. It has an easy share button. It gives you some follow-up questions. So if you created art about a topic, it'll give you questions to expand on that topic. And those are already suggested for you. You can also spend your credits to generate the images faster if you're in a hurry. I don't usually do this, but it's like getting the paid version of ChatGPT through the free version of Copilot. Another cool feature that's unique to Microsoft Copilot is it has a notebook mode. So instead of a little bar to type your prompt in, here's an example, it gives you this full screen text box, and then you can paste in long prompts and see all of the text. And it's just for a more text-heavy interface that you can use. Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT doesn't do that, Perplexity doesn't do it. It's a cool feature. Other than Google's Notebook LLM, there isn't really another version of that. And again, this is free, so in a lot of ways it's better than Google's Notebook LLM. In summary, with Microsoft Copilot, it's the best one free app you can use for AI purposes. And there's only one thing that ChatGPT really does better than the free version of Microsoft Copilot, and that is ChatGPT can access the custom GPTs that other people have made. I'll explain what those are, but for beginners, it's not a big deal. I would start with Microsoft Copilot. When my students come in, start of a semester, I don't know where they're at with AI literacy, like understanding prompting and outputs. I always start with Microsoft Copilot. And most of them say like, wow, it's really easy to use. So unless you have a lot of familiarity and you want some really specific use cases, it does everything ChatGPT does, only better on the free version, unless you are using really specific models. So instead of putting in a 1 or 2 page prompt, you can build a custom GPT. That's like a version of ChatGPT that already has all that prompting built in and even some sources in its database like PDFs from your class or even downloaded examples of papers that you wrote. You can put it into the model and say, here's how I normally write, or here's a bunch of facts about my topic that aren't necessarily on the internet. Unless you're doing stuff like that regularly, stick with Microsoft Copilot. But if you go, hey, I want a really specific tool and I don't want to have to prompt it every time or go back to that one conversation where I prompted it to get it in the context I wanted, that's when you should be using ChatGPT. Our third app to get you through college is ChatGPT. It really is the Swiss Army knife of AI tools, and it can do anything, but it's not necessarily the best at some of those uses. Like we discussed, Perplexity beats it hands down in researching and finding sources and even formatting those. I'll link a video in the description where I did a side-by-side comparison of Perplexity and ChatGPT for research. Perplexity blew ChatGPT out of the water. Also with image generation, Microsoft Copilot tends to do better and it has an easier interface. So why would I use ChatGPT then if it can do everything but not necessarily the best at any one thing? Well, it's always going to get the first updates. It's the most popular one. So if you find someone who's used AI at all, the first thing they probably tried was ChatGPT. You're going to find a ton more videos, tutorials on YouTube and TikTok on how to use ChatGPT than these other tools. And it's always going to have new features coming before the other two. What are some reasons to use ChatGPT over Microsoft Copilot or Claude or some of these other AI generation tools? One small bonus is if you're on a Mac device, so a desktop or a laptop, you can actually download an app. Therefore, you don't have to use it in your browser tab. You could tile your screen side by side. There's even a little shortcut on Mac where you go Option Spacebar and it opens your search window. Only instead of a spotlight search, it's like a quick search in ChatGPT. The biggest reason to use ChatGPT over the other tools is you get access to the custom GPT library. If you're new, you're probably like, what's with all these acronyms? What does that mean? Here's the simple version. Nerdy people will go make certain models of AI, like one for tutoring in calculus, and one for writing English papers in undergraduate courses, and one for coming up with a study schedule for spaced practice study sessions. And they build a version of ChatGPT that has all the prompting and the info in the background. So you as a user don't have to give it a long, detailed prompt, and it can already do something really specific. One use case for me is writing. Everybody should have a custom GPT that writes like them. So it might be for academic writing. As a teacher, a huge one that I use it for is letters of recommendation. I took a bunch of letters I had written, I gave it some context, and I built my own bot, so to speak, that writes like me. And with 3 or 4 questions from that tool, I get a really good draft of a letter of recommendation. You could do that in Copilot or Claude, but you can't build a custom version that has all those letters in its database. What you could do as a student is take 20 English papers you wrote, put them into a custom GPT, and say, here's how I write, here's my vocabulary and my sentence structure, and how I use semicolons, and have it start creating writing like you. Is that cheating or not? To me, it's not, especially if you're going to edit the output. You're not going to just copy and paste everything that comes through. But that's what a custom GPT is. Like those pre-made ones in Copilot where you could do the fitness trainer or the meal planner. The difference on ChatGPT is the free version lets you access this library of tens or hundreds of thousands of pre-made versions that other people have, and you just add them to your sidebar. So on your mobile, you'd open the app, you go up here and tap the model, and then you go search the library and just put in a key search. I'll link a couple below, some that I've made and some that I've used. The free version of ChatGPT can access all of these, which is amazing. It's the one reason why it's a better tool overall than Copilot is if you want to get into these custom GPTs. If you have the paid version right now at the time of recording, the only real advantage to the paid version of ChatGPT is you can build these, but the free version can use them. I pay $20 a month because I use it every day. I can build those. You don't have to, especially if you know somebody who has the paid version and could make you a custom GPT, like your own writing bot or your own study partner. Just ask them to do it for you. You can send me an email or contact me in my social media handles. I do this all the time, and I'm making them for my students in my class anyways. So I'm happy to show you how to do that or give you some ideas. But that's the one thing that ChatGPT really does better than any other tool right now. If you try out some of these GPTs that are linked in the comments, let me know. Were they helpful? Would you ever use those, or would you rather just stick with the free version of Microsoft Copilot to get started? I have a detailed video on how to use ChatGPT to write better essays. If you go to the link in the description, you just put in your name and your email and I'll send you that video. There's also the prompts below and the text of the article if you'd prefer to read that. And none of the ways that we use ChatGPT in the video would be cheating, no matter what strict professor or teacher you have who says AI is bad. I've even had students say Grammarly is cheating. No way. They should be teaching you how to write better essays. So if you want to learn how, go to the link in the description. I'll send you that for free and you can check it out and let me know what you think. As a student, you hear it from people all the time. There's this triangle of the big three. There's school at the top, then there's sleep, and then there's your social life. And people tell you all the time you have to pick two out of the three because you won't have time to do all three. Those people are behind the times. If you learn how to use apps like these, Perplexity AI, Copilot, and Chat GPT, you can get all three because your schoolwork won't take as long. That doesn't mean you're cheating. It just means you're finding ways to automate or speed up the busy, menial parts of your job as a student so you don't have to waste your time on that. And you can do even better on your assignments without putting in any more time. So you have plenty of time to sleep, hang out with your friends, do your work study or your side job, or just do whatever you want for fun because you're not staying up till 2 a.m. trying to write that paper or cram for that test. These three apps can help you with everything from making an effective morning routine as a student, being your study partner, brainstorming ideas for assignments, proofreading your writing and giving you feedback. That's definitely not cheating. They do that at the Tutor Center. Finding reliable sources, generating a works cited page, and even coming up with images or art for your projects. My students use these tools every day in my class to raise their grades and lower their stress without cheating. You should be using them too.